It sounds poetic rather than scientific to say that parts of you came from stars, but elements like carbon, oxygen, and iron in your body were formed inside stars billions of years ago. The shocking detail is that these elements were created during stellar explosions long before Earth existed. They later became part of planets, oceans, and eventually living beings. The realization is that your body is built from recycled cosmic material. The lesson is that life on Earth is deeply connected to the universe itself. You are not separate from space. You are shaped by it. It sounds like a joke that an animal could produce cube-shaped droppings. Most people assume waste always comes out round or oval, but wombats, small marsupials from Australia, produce droppings with flat sides and sharp edges. The strange truth is that this shape forms inside the wombat's intestines due to uneven muscle contractions and elastic walls. The cubes don't roll away, which helps keep them in place when used to mark territory. The realization is that even digestion can be shaped by survival needs. The lesson is that nature often engineers solutions in unexpected places, proving that practicality can appear in the strangest forms. We think of avalanches as sudden, violent rushes of snow, but in some Arctic glaciers, there exists an avalanche that moves so slowly you could outwalk it, and it's made not of snow, but of stone. These are rock glaciers, rivers of boulders and ice that creep down mountainsides at a pace of just a few centimeters per year. From a distance, they look like mere piles of rubble, but inside, a core of ancient ice flows like thick tar, carrying the entire mass imperceptibly forward. Some of these rock glaciers have been in motion for thousands of years, preserving ice from a colder age within their stony armor. They teach us that movement is a matter of scale and time. What looks still and permanent to our brief eyes is often in the midst of an epic, patient journey. It sounds impossible to say you're not made of the same body you had years ago. We feel continuous and unchanged, yet many cells in your body are constantly dying and being replaced. Skin renews in weeks, blood in months, and even parts of the skeleton rebuild over time. The surprising detail is that, cell by cell, much of you is gradually swapped out while your identity stays the same. This happens through tightly regulated biological cycles that keep you functioning. The realization is that stability comes from change, not the absence of it. The lesson is that renewal is a strength. You are proof that transformation can happen quietly without losing who you are. We often think of our face as the most expressive and unique part of our body, but touch your cheek, then touch the palm of your hand. They feel different because they truly are different worlds. The skin on your palms and fingertips is a specialized marvel called glabrous skin, and its evolutionary story is ancient. While the skin on most of your body is relatively new in evolutionary terms, the ridged, hairless, extra-sensitive skin on your hands and feet is a direct inheritance from our earliest mammalian ancestors who scurried in the trees tens of millions of years ago. This skin, with its unique prints and amazing grip, evolved for locomotion and feeling the world in precise detail. So every time you pick up a pencil or feel a texture, you are using a biological tool shaped by an ancient past of climbing and exploring. Your hands are a living fossil, connecting you to a deep lineage of touch that long predates humanity itself. It sounds exaggerated to say your bones beat steel. Steel feels rigid and unbreakable, while bones seem fragile. But when scientists compare strength by weight, human bone can handle more pressure than steel. The surprising detail is that bone achieves this through a complex internal structure that balances hardness and flexibility. This design lets bones absorb impact without shattering. The realization is that strength doesn't always look solid and shiny. The lesson is that nature often builds resilience through smart structure rather than brute force. What supports you every day is quietly stronger than it appears. Scientists estimate there are about 3 trillion trees on Earth. The Milky Way galaxy contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. That means there are roughly 10 times more trees on our planet than there are stars in our entire galaxy. This surprises most people because stars seem infinite when we look up at the night sky, while forests feel limited and shrinking. and forests are shrinking. Humans cut down about 15 billion trees every year, but the sheer abundance that still remains is staggering. Every continent except Antarctica is covered with them. They grow in deserts, on mountains, in swamps, and across frozen tundra. Trees produce the oxygen we breathe, stabilize soil, create habitats for countless species, and regulate the climate. They are the quiet infrastructure of life itself. We often look to the stars when we think about wonder and vastness, but sometimes the most extraordinary abundance is right here, rooted in the soil beneath our feet, reaching upward in silence, older and more numerous than we ever imagined. About 40 light-years from Earth, there's a planet called 55 Cancri e that scientists believe is covered in diamonds. It's twice the size of Earth, but orbits so close to its star that surface temperatures reach over 2,400 degrees Celsius. The planet is what's left of a carbon-rich star that was stripped down to its core. Under the immense pressure and heat, carbon atoms are compressed into crystalline structures, essentially turning large portions of the planet into diamond. It's not a gem you could mine or hold. It's an entire world made of the material we consider most precious. The planet completes an orbit around its star in just 18 hours, meaning a year there lasts less than a day here. It's tidally locked, so one side always faces the star in eternal scorching daylight, while the other freezes in darkness. If you could somehow stand on its surface, you'd be standing on an ocean of liquid diamond beneath a sky glowing with molten heat. It reminds us that the universe doesn't follow our sense of value or rarity. What we treasure is common elsewhere, scattered across distant worlds we'll never touch, beautiful and impossible in equal measure. It sounds absurd to say that humans share DNA with a banana. Plants and people seem completely unrelated, yet about 60% of human genes have some similarity to genes found in bananas. The surprising truth is that DNA is a basic instruction system shared by all living things, and many cellular functions are ancient and universal. This doesn't mean we are closely related, but that life reused successful genetic tools over billions of years. The realization is that all life on Earth is connected at a fundamental level. The lesson is that the boundaries we imagine between species are thinner than they seem. Life is a shared story, written with the same alphabet. Armies have clashed over land for millennia, but one of history's most decisive victories was handed to a nation by the intervention of birds. In 480 BC, the powerful Persian fleet sailed to conquer Greece. As they moored off the coast, a Greek commander received an oracle's cryptic message: "Trust in the wooden wall." He interpreted this as his fleet of wooden ships. The night before the battle, a fierce storm arose, but the Greeks were sheltered in a channel. The exposed Persian ships were devastated, not just by wind and waves, but according to the historian Herodotus, by a massive flock of birds. The birds, likely seeking shelter from the same storm, collided with the Persian ships in the dark, causing chaos and damage. The next day, the Greeks won a stunning victory at the Battle of Salamis. This reminds us that history often turns on the smallest, most unpredictable elements, where nature itself can become the most powerful ally or the final decisive weapon. It sounds strange to say your tongue isn't doing most of the work. We credit taste buds for flavor, but without smell, food loses nearly all its complexity, leaving only basic sensations like sweet or salty. The surprising truth is that aroma molecules travel from the mouth to the nose, where most flavor is actually interpreted. This is why food tastes bland when you have a cold. The realization is that eating is a multi-sense experience, not a single one. The lesson is that perception works best when senses cooperate. What you enjoy most often comes from quiet collaboration inside your body. Forgetting someone's name right after meeting them doesn't mean you have a bad memory. Your brain is actually designed to forget most of what you experience. Scientists have discovered that your brain has specialized cells whose only job is to actively erase memories you don't need. Every night while you sleep, your brain reviews the day's events and decides what to keep and what to delete, much like cleaning out old files from a computer. This isn't a flaw in how we're built. It's a crucial feature. If your brain kept every single detail of every moment, you'd be overwhelmed with useless information and unable to recognize what truly matters. The people who remember everything, a rare condition called hyperthymesia, often describe it as exhausting rather than helpful. Forgetting isn't failure, it's how your mind stays sharp, focused, and ready for what comes next. It sounds impossible to claim there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. Space feels endless, while forests feel limited and shrinking. For a long time, people assumed stars vastly outnumbered anything on our planet, but a global scientific study estimated about 3 trillion trees on Earth, while astronomers estimate roughly 100 down to 400 billion stars in our galaxy. The surprising detail is that Earth quietly holds more living pillars than our galaxy holds suns. This is true because stars are spread across immense distances, while trees densely cover land across continents. The lesson is that abundance can exist close to home, not only in distant space. Sometimes the greatest numbers are rooted right beneath our feet. Try it right now. Pinch your nose closed and attempt to hum. You can't do it. Humming requires air to vibrate through your nasal passages, and if those passages are blocked, no sound comes out. Your mouth is closed when you hum, so the only path for air is through your nose. When both are sealed, there's no airflow, and without airflow, there's no vibration, and without vibration, there's no sound. You might feel the attempt in your throat and chest, but nothing audible emerges. This simple experiment reveals how sound is made. It's not magic or abstract. It's air moving in specific ways through specific spaces in your body. Your voice is a physical instrument shaped by anatomy. Singers, doctors, and speech therapists understand this deeply, but most of us never think about it until we try something like this. The moment you release your nose, the hum returns instantly. It's such a small thing, but it pulls back the curtain on how your body creates something as natural and effortless as your own voice, something you've done since birth without ever questioning how it actually works. When you look up at a fluffy white cumulus cloud drifting lazily across a summer sky, it appears as light and weightless as a handful of cotton candy. In reality, that single cloud likely weighs over 1 million pounds, which is roughly the equivalent of 100 adult elephants suspended right above your head. This massive weight comes from billions of tiny water droplets and ice crystals spread across a vast area of space. The only reason this heavy mass doesn't come crashing down is that the droplets are so small, and the surrounding air is just dense enough to provide the upward lift needed to keep them afloat. It changes the way you view a sunny day, realizing that the atmosphere is a delicate, invisible balance of immense forces holding up rivers of water in the sky. The bones inside your body right now are not the same bones you had 10 years ago. Your skeleton completely replaces itself approximately every 10 years through a process called remodeling. Specialized cells called osteoclasts break down old bone tissue, while other cells called osteoblasts build new bone in its place. This happens constantly, day and night, in tiny sections throughout your entire skeleton. Your body does this to repair microscopic damage, adjust to the stresses you put on your bones, and maintain calcium levels in your blood. The skeleton you think of as solid and permanent is actually more like a living sculpture that's constantly being dissolved and rebuilt. A child's skeleton replaces itself much faster, sometimes in just a year or two, which is why broken bones heal so quickly in youth. By the time you're older, the process slows down. What this means is that you are not made of permanent materials. You're made of processes. Your body is not a thing but an event, constantly renewing itself in ways you never notice, silently keeping you strong from the inside out. It feels strange to think your eyes might see colors that don't actually exist. We trust vision as our most reliable sense, yet the brain constantly fills in gaps using context, light, and expectation. The surprising truth is that in certain conditions, the brain creates colors even when the physical color signal is missing. This happens because the brain prioritizes patterns and contrast over raw data. The realization is that what we see is not a perfect photograph of reality, but a carefully constructed interpretation. The lesson is that perception is powerful, but imperfect. Reality is filtered through the mind, shaped as much by the brain as by the eyes. It sounds impossible that your stomach could survive its own acid. The digestive juices inside it are strong enough to break down food and even damage metal. The strange truth is that the stomach constantly replaces its inner lining every few days. This rapid renewal prevents the acid from digesting the stomach itself. It works because specialized cells are always growing, dying, and being replaced in a careful cycle. The realization is that your body is performing non-stop repairs without you ever noticing. The lesson is that survival often depends not on strength alone, but on constant renewal. Your body quietly rebuilds itself to keep you alive.